Hello, hello. It's Erin with Notice the Little Things, and we're back with the second part of the Ask Me Anything. And I might do plenty more of these, so it might not be the second part for you. You might be watching this as the first part. But at any rate, if you watch the first part and now you're watching the second part, ooh, my coffee! I hear my coffee dinging. Hold on, I have to go get it because this is a coffee chat. I forgot that I put my coffee in the microwave. Now I have it. Okay, so coffee chat, mom to mom, ask me anything. I love listening to other people respond to and ask me anything because I love hearing from other moms about what works because it's magical. Us moms, we have superpowers, and the more we share them, the better. So the lighting is a little weird here. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out this new Zoom where the camera zooms automatically. The lighting's a little weird today. We're just going to go with it. Okay. Okay. So this is a big one. This is one question for a whole session because, ooh, it's a doozy and it's one I talk about a lot with, I read a lot about it. I listen to a lot of podcasts about it and I talk about it a lot with the people around me because it's just such a part of our day and it is handling phones and technology. Okay. So multiple people asked me about this. Tiffany, Ilaria, Linda, um, Amber, trying to think who else asked this question. Basically, the questions were I wrote a few notes so I don't go too off track. Okay. How do you handle phones and technology with your kids? My kids are 11 and 13 and seem to be absorbed in screens. How do we reconnect? Do you have tech rules, reading rules, social media rules? Yep, I have rules for days. And I'm happy to share the rules with you because I think it's important to hear when we do something the same as someone else or when we do something different. Um, I also think more important than my rules are why I have those rules. And I think that's true for you as well. So I don't think it makes any sense to just have rules about technology just to have rules. I think the more you can have a reason behind them and the more that reason is openly shared with your kids, the better. So I will share my rules at the end of this, but first I'm going to share my reasons for my rules or like my mindset when it comes to these rules about technology. And I'm also going to say the same thing I say to my kids is that this could change tomorrow. Like I could learn something new, or I could see a way that they are behaving or reacting to our current technology rules, and it could cause me to want to change something. And they know that, and I know that. I'm going to get to this, but I could get to it now. Um, no one modeled this for me. I didn't have the internet. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have an iPad. We had one television. I really sound like I'm from the 1900s right now. We had one television. So I will say I come from a family that was very strict about this kind of stuff. So maybe that makes it not as hard for me to be strict. Or maybe I could have gone the total opposite way and then my parents were so strict and I'm going to be not so strict because that was hard. I don't know, right? It could go either way. But we had a dial, TV. We didn't have cable. So it had I don't even know, not a lot of channels, four channels or something, and it had rabbit ears. Okay, so that's where I'm coming from here. But I had friends that had all kinds of different, technology at their house that I didn't have at mine. So it's not like everyone around my parents was doing this. It's just what my parents used to do. So um, I think that needs to be stated to your kids. And I think it's something we remind ourselves like this could change at any point because we're constantly learning new things because we're literally making all of this up on the fly and things are moving faster than our brains can actually think. That has never happened before. So I read. Or like faster than we can like take things in. So give yourself some grace here, okay? If you feel like, I made a mistake on something, then like just redo it and your kids have to deal with it. Or if you feel like, I'm doing a good job with something, I feel good about this, then feel good about it and just be confident in your decisions. Um, okay. First things first. I think phones are always going to be a battle. I wish I could just like set it and forget it, set my rules. But like I said, everything's changing. So that's just not the case. Um, I have a couple guiding principles when it comes to technology. Number one, you only get a device or to use something when it makes my life easier. So, like, if you want a phone because you're in the fifth grade and everyone has a phone, but there's absolutely no reason for me, who is going to pay for the phone, to need you to have a phone, then there's no way you're getting a phone. You are only getting a watch, a phone, an iPad, even to watch a TV show if it makes my life easier. If it's going to make my life harder, it's a hard no. If it's going to make my life easier, I don't care what other people are doing around you or even really what moms around me are doing. I do care about research. Um, if it's going to make my life easier, and not in the way that like I want you to stop arguing with me about the phone, so I'm going to get you a phone because that's going to make my life easier. No, that's not what I mean. I mean like if I need to get in contact with you, if I need to find you at a friend's house, if you're going to be, I don't know, actually there aren't a lot of reasons for me, quite honestly. I think my kids not having devices makes my life easier. So that's where I stand on that. And you can stand wherever you want, but since you guys asked the question, one of my guiding principles is you only get a device when it makes my life easier. And when I give you a device, I'm handing you my phone, I'm handing you my iPad, and I am letting you borrow it. It is not yours. I don't care how old you are. Until you buy it yourself and pay for the plan yourself, it is not yours. It is mine. So that's another guiding principle. Um, Another guiding principle that thank God I had my mom to lean on for this because she was like this too. And I think it set a good example. Um, I am, when it comes to technology, I am perfectly fine if my kids are the only ones that don't have something. If my kids are the only ones without an iPad, that is fine with me. If my kids are the only ones, literally the only ones without a phone, also fine with me. If they're the only ones who aren't allowed to buy a certain kind of shoes, that's okay with me. If they're the only ones who fill in the blank with anything you want to fill it in, if they're the only ones who aren't allowed to wear belly shirts, that's fine with me. If they're the only ones, I'm not necessarily, these aren't necessarily all rules at my house. It's okay if your belly shows a little bit on the weekends, but not at school. If my kids are the only ones who have to turn in their technology at 9:30, even though they're in high school, I do not care. Have you ever seen the I do not care videos? I feel like that lady when it comes to technology. I don't care if my kids are the only ones. And that has started when they were little. So here's why. Okay. You're you got to be the only one sometimes because then the only way that you know you can survive being the only one is if you have to do it and you have to follow it all the way through and you have to figure out how to still have self-confidence, how to make a joke out of it, how to keep in contact with your friends, how to not know about that party invite and go on Monday and hear about the party and realize you survived and your feelings are a little hurt and you missed out and you kind of wish you went, but you're still standing, right? And also you have a home to go to where everybody is consistent and loves you and is ready to build you up and tells you about things even if you don't have a phone. Um, I think it is so important for kids to be the only one, like to exercise the muscle of being the only one who fill in the blank because that is I want them later in life to be able to stand up for themselves when they feel strongly about something and be the only one and know that they're going to survive that because they've done it quite a few times in their life, right? So like I want them to be the only one who leaves the party. I want them to be the only one who doesn't vape. I want them to be the only one who doesn't drink till they're 21. I mean, I have these hopes and dreams, right? I want them to be the only one who studies, even though something was going on. I mean, not all the time. I want them to live a little right, but like, I want them to know that they can be the only one, feel a little embarrassed about it, feel like maybe they're going to lose friends about it, maybe lose a couple friends about it, and still survive and come out on the other side. So that's one of my guiding principles for technology. I do not care if you're the only one. Now, listen, I promise you, I feel bad for my kids. I mean, my heart has broken more time, as many times as yours. Um, my mom did not care if we were the only ones. We were the only ones for a lot of things. We were the only ones without any video games. We were the only ones who could not watch a PG-13 movie until we were actually 13. We were the only ones without cable. Then we were the only ones without call rating. And a lot of it was technology related. And you know what? I I told her that I was never going to do that to my kids. And then I realized it really made me very resilient and it made me a better adult. So guess what? I do it to my kids. So, guiding principles. You don't get technology unless it makes my life easier. And I don't care if you're the only one. And honestly, my kids have been the only one on just about every piece of technology known to humans. And they are fine and they are resilient and they have figured out how to still be fun and funny and get invited to things. And sometimes their feelings get hurt and sometimes their hearts get broken. And sometimes I get a text from an iPad at a sleepover with a picture of somebody sitting in the back because they're the only one not allowed to play Fortnite. And all I want to do at 11:30 at night is say, "Oh, never mind, you can go ahead and play Fortnite," because I feel so bad that they are feeling so bad in that moment. And then that child wakes up the next day at the sleepover and still has those friends, and Fortnite is over, and they eat breakfast and they yuck it up, and he comes home and things are fine. Getting to the other side of it is important. I really think so. So that is something I feel really strongly with for technology and like just like holding your ground as a mom on things. Because something I tell my kids is that we are playing the long game. I am playing the long game. Okay. I want to hang out with you when you are an adult. And I am not going to want to hang out with you if you are staring at a screen. Nobody likes that person. Nobody wants to invite that person. So the opposite is going to happen, right? You think you're going to get invited to more things because you have technology, but you don't learn to talk to anyone. And so when you're an adult, nobody wants to invite you to anything. So I'm always telling them, like, listen, I'm playing the long game. But the problem is, and I tell them this, all of them, 8-year-old and up to 14. So I have 8, 12, and 14. 8-year-old girl, second grade, 12-year-old girl, seventh grade, 14-year-old boy, high school. I'm playing the long game. The problem, and this is another guiding principle, this is not my rules yet, okay? The problem is that the people that make technology, the people that make phones and iPads and watches and I don't know, maybe even virtual reality, I have no idea. The people that make social media for sure, the people that make YouTube, they are not playing the long game. They are playing the short game. Their job is to get you to want to keep using their thing because they don't care if you have a good attention span. They don't care if you're creative. They don't care if you can have a conversation or if you can write something without help from ChatGPT. The makers of the things that you really, really want, because my kids really, really want technology, the makers of the video games, the makers of those things are smarter than me. They are smarter than my kids. And their job is to keep my kids and me attracted to that technology. And they are playing the short game. And that is their job. That's their job. Like, I can't even, I don't know, it kind of drives me nuts, but like, that's their job. It's not my job. My job is to play the long game. And I tell this to my kids, like, my job is to care about your attention span, about your brain, about your ability to, watch something from start to finish that's longer than 30 seconds and has a lesson. My job is to care that you can communicate and look people in the eye, and that when you're uncomfortable, your go-to isn't to pull out your phone. Your go-to is to sit there in it and be uncomfortable and get to the other side. Like that is my job. My job is to play the long game. And I tell them this, like, I understand you want this so bad in the short term. I understand that's the short game. The long game is this. And we're always like talking about that. I'm not saying it makes it much easier for my kids. I think this is hard, but they have a good head about it. And I think part of that is because we just are really, really, really open. And also, this is not the first time they've been the only one, right? I made them be the only one when they were younger too. And it's never too late to start that. Okay. If you have, I mean, listen, I have a lot of friends who's like heartstrings are pulled too much on some of these things. And like being included trumps the long game. But like, I don't know. I really, my heart like does not, my heart wants them to be included, but my brain knows that there's more to it than that. And that like you can still be included and you can still like get to the other side of these things. Um, okay, so technology only when it helps me. I'm okay with my kids being the only one. I think that's a muscle that you need to strengthen, practice, build. Um, open communication. No one modeled this for me. I am flying by the seat of my pants. I might say something today and totally change my mind tomorrow. And what one kid gets, the other kid is never going to get. Like if you get like my son got a watch at 12. That does not mean everyone gets a watch when they turn 12. That means it made my life easier for him to have a watch when he was 12, so he got one. That's not the way it's going to work for everybody because things are going to change, technology is going to change, and information is going to change. Let's see what else. Okay, so there's probably some other guiding principles that I could think of, but I am going to just go on to some of our rules. So based on those principles, right, we do have rules. So here are the rules. In our school district, so for TV, the rule, okay, so let's just start basic. For TV, the rule is you are allowed to watch shows, any show where the kids are your age in the show. So like my 8-year-old will turn on a show with high schoolers in it, and I'm like, no, you can watch that when you're in high school. Go find a show that has 8-year-olds in it. Now, if there are high schoolers that have a younger sibling, I'll sometimes bend on that because I also had a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old, and sometimes they want to all watch something together. And that is my safest bet is if they have a younger sibling in the show, is to let her watch the show. Is it perfect? No, but has it worked this far? Yes. So, but now that my son is 14, I am more lenient on what he watches because I'm really confident in the person that he is. And so he mostly watches things with kids who are in high school. Can't really think of any adult shows he watches. So I guess he still sticks to that. But sometimes they're doing things in the shows in high school. Like he's a freshman that I'm like, you know, but I'm like, well, they're in high school and he does have to learn his way through the world. So I still stick with that. Like if you're in middle school, you watch shows with kids in middle school. If you're in elementary school, you watch shows with kids in elementary school. Let's see. Okay, so TV, iPad. In our school system, everyone has to have an iPad. It's just the way it is. So my kids have had to have iPads since kindergarten, which is a little crazy. And at first, the school provided them, but you had to pay for them. Now the school provides them and you don't have to pay for them. So all of my kids have a school issued iPad, which means there are a lot of restrictions on it. So there's not a whole lot I have to do. They can use the internet. They are signed on in their own iCloud sign in. So I know I have set up some permissions there. They do have to ask permission to download any app. Oh, no, they don't. Okay, so on their personal, okay, that's not true. On the school iPads, I think the school downloads the apps. I'm trying to remember. I get confused because, okay, on the school iPads, I think the school pretty much handles it. But on their personal iPads, they have to ask still my 14-year-old in high school, anytime he wants to download an app, even if it's free, even if it's in his age range, he has to ask me first. And sometimes he'll say no because it's like a dumb game that I just am like, well, you can download that game if you erase two others. But I always am like the one that's calling the shots. So they have to ask always for apps. They've had iPads for a long time. They've learned how to use them safely and securely at school. I restrict the bejesus out of them. I go into that screen time. No one's allowed to be on their device for longer than an hour a day. No explicit. If you're 12, then you can only watch things 12 and under. If you're like, I restrict what they can watch. I turn off anything that's multiplayer. No one's allowed to play with anyone they don't know, any game ever, ever. My 14-year-old in high school is now allowed to play games with people he does know, but not people he doesn't know. And he's never played Fortnite or Roblox. He's allowed to play Minecraft with friends that he knows and like football with people that he knows. But some things are a hard no, like Fortnite. And okay, so that's iPads. Basically, they have them. They are highly restricted as far as what they could even get to in the first place. And then as far as like how much time they're actually allowed. And like after their time limit, it shuts down and then it asks me. I get a thing that says like so and so has requested more time. And like on a car trip, I'll give them more time, or like if they have a really good reason, but most of the time they don't get more time. Okay, so phones, watches. Okay, so when my son was, these are again my rules. Like this is just based on my like principles and like they're not to like make you feel like your rules are any certain way. I'm just giving you my rules because you guys asked. Okay, my kids got Gizmo watches when they were younger, like 8 years old. And a Gizmo is like it's attached to the phone company. There's no internet, there's no anything. You can just call 10 people and it's all through an app. So it's kind of cumbersome, but that's what we did. When my son turned 12, got a watch. The watch had cell service. He got the watch because I needed to be able to find him. And that was a really easy way to find him that worked better than the Gizmo. He wanted a watch for at least 2 years. He was the only one without any kind of technology that wasn't a Gizmo, which was seen as very little kid. By the time he was still using it, we finally got him a watch for his 12th birthday. You would have thought we bought him a car. He was so pumped because we told him that he wasn't going to get anything till he was, I think we said at least 15. Hang on, I gotta get a kid off the bus and then I'll be back. Okay, so my son got a watch when he was 12, and then my middle daughter, I think she got one when she was 10, again, because it made my life easier. Um, I think she got it for a birthday. And then oh, this is the funny part. So then, okay, so then we ended up, okay, 12 and 10. Then, all through middle school, my husband, my son, begged and begged for a phone. Everyone had a phone. It's true. Almost everyone had a phone. Okay, there was probably like 5 outliers, and then 3, and then 2, and then none. I do actually believe that he was the only one at the end of the people that he knew that did not have a phone. He made it into a joke. It was funny with his friends. He would like have to use his iPad for things that other people used a phone for, because they did also have, so they have school iPads, but the 2 older ones also have their own iPad. It's not really their own. Well, I guess it is their own because they got gifted it from my parents for Christmas, because at that point the school wasn't providing them. But it's ours because we're the one that pays for it. So at any rate, he made a joke about it. I guess that's my point. Like he was the only one and he had to make the best of it, and he did, because there's sometimes no other choice. And so when you're faced with having to make the best of it, I mean, I hope you do, right? And I'm walking you through this the whole time. He's coming to me and saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm the only one. What do you think I should do about this?" Or "I'm not on this or whatever, and then we talk it through and figure out how to muscle through being the only one. So he asked for a phone, every day, all of middle school. Did I want to give him one? Kind of. Because I really honestly just felt like he's a good kid. His character was good. He probably would use the phone for good, but I didn't really need him to have one. And so then when he went into eighth grade, we got him a phone because in eighth grade they go to Washington, D.C. And we got it for him in the summer because I wanted to teach him how to use it. We did a phone contract, again, restricted out the wazoo. I mean, to the point where he's like, why do I even have this if I can't do anything? And I'm like, you can call people, you can text people, you can get on the internet, and you have a certain amount of time and you have to turn it in at a certain time and it only turns on at a certain time. Like that's just the way it works because this is my phone and you can use it for ways that make my life easier. But he really honestly, he probably said that like 6 months into it, but when we gave him that phone, he could not believe it because we told him he wouldn't get one until he drove. So getting one like going into eighth grade was such a treat. And I mean, all his friends were hysterical about it because by that point it was the running joke. Um, I kind of wish I could have held out until freshman year of high school, honestly, but there really at that point wasn't a good reason not to get him one. Because he didn't have social media. I mean, it was just the phone. Okay. Then because he got a phone, so he got a phone, which means he never didn't need his watch anymore. But we hadn't paid off his watch yet. So it made more sense to keep his watch and give up my 7-year-old's gizmo and let her use that watch when she leaves the house than to pay off the watch and keep paying for the gizmo. Does that make sense? So it was kind of more of a logistical thing why my youngest ended up with a watch at age 7, which she honestly is the best at charging it, the best at knowing where it is, and the best at using it well. Hers is also restricted a lot more. All she can do is call 10 people that are on it that I have to approve I have to put the contacts on there. And if I just I Google all this stuff on how to do it. Okay, so going into eighth grade seems to be the age of phones for us because I do think having a phone when you go to Washington, D.C. with the class is a good idea. Because I want you to have one, quite honestly. It makes my life easier to know that you have a way to communicate. It is restricted. When do we do so? It's restricted like everything else. I often mandate breaks for that phone and I just say, okay, whole weekend, it's going to be sitting right here. If you need to check it, you got to check it right here. And he just was like, okay, like, cause we've been so strict for so long, I don't get a lot of pushback. The most pushback I get is the fact that I make him turn it in at 9:45 at night and he tells me nobody in high school has to do that. And I bet he's right, but I'm ready to go to bed. I'm ready to know that he's only doing things that don't involve technology. So what works for me has to work for him. Um, does he have social media? He has. So we let him get Instagram Teen this year as a freshman. And the only reason I let him get it was because he was running for student office. And in order to campaign, you really had to have social media. I mean, there was not, I hate to say it, I wish this wasn't true, but there was no way he was going to win if he wasn't able to campaign on social media. So we let him get it for that. It's the teen account. It is highly restricted. He gets 30 minutes a day. I can see who he follows and who follows him. I ask him regularly what he looks at on there. It is almost always sports related. He doesn't ask for Snapchat because he knows I will say no. He doesn't ask for Facebook because he says that's for old people. What else is there? I mean, YouTube. He has a YouTube like login. That's highly restricted as well. Um, so he has Instagram and he knows not to even ask for Snapchat because I just won't do it. I can't navigate it as well. There's no like overarching parent sort of login. I don't like that you can see where people are all the time. I know you can turn that feature off. I know. but I just don't even like the whole concept. So that's where we are with technology. Phones probably will stay standard going into eighth grade because of that Washington, D.C. trip. And I do think you have to learn how to use them wisely. Everything gets restricted. Everything is under our control. Everything is annoying to me. I'm going to tell you right now. I bet you feel the same way. Like I mean, like in the middle of the day when things are like, can so and so download this app, and I have to be like, I don't know, and look it up or whatever. I do all those things. I look the things up. I look at reviews. I care what's like. Because as soon as I just think as soon as you give some, I like. I, I don't give a lot of people access to my kids like in our community. Why would I give complete strangers access to my kids, you know? So I want them to slowly get access to the world when they're ready for it. Um, I will not always have control over that. I don't always want control over that. I think there's so much to be learned, and I think there's a lot to be learned by experience, and you have to test your values and your morals and your standards against all these things on your own. And I think that's valuable. And I think I want them to do that when it's age appropriate. I like read a lot about what's age appropriate and when, especially being a teacher. Um, so those are my guiding principles for technology. Those are our rules. Things get highly restricted, turned in by a certain time. One social media platform that I can easily regulate that he posts almost nothing on. I think it was more like he just wanted to have it to like give out his handle to people who he was making new friends with in high school. But I also made him do that for the first month. I told him you have to do that for one whole month. Luckily, student council wasn't for like a whole month. Said you have to do that a whole month without social media. You have to do it all on your own. You have to like make friends with the old fashioned way. And you know, he did. I said, what's one of the reasons you want a phone? And he said, oh, well, like, you know, when like you sit at the lunch table and like no one's talking to you, then you like pull out your phone. I'm like, oh no, 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 no. When you sit at the lunch table and no one's talking to you, you have to sit there in the awkwardness and figure out what to do with it, not get out your phone. So we've talked through a lot of those things. Like, when do you use your phone? I don't think that's a good time. Let's do this. So it's just an ongoing conversation. I do not think I'm doing it all right. I mostly think I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing the absolute best that I can do. I think that I'm basing everything on sound beliefs or principles, or as sound as I can get until something changes. Um, so that's where we're at. Hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully this kind of opens up a discussion. I would love to hear your thoughts. What you do, what you don't do. Piggyback on anything that I said and like give me more information, or if you do things a different way, I would love to hear. Um, yeah, I really can't wait to just open up this conversation because I don't think there's a right way to do this. I think there's just a way that we all can do it so that we can sleep at night, so that we feel comfortable about like our own involvement in things and the kids that are and the people our kids are becoming. And I think that having kids with technology makes me really second guess my own use of technology, and makes me put my phone away more often because I can't make them do something I don't model well. So that's that. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. And thanks for tuning in. We'll do this again.